Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm reviewing the new Soft Matte Complete Foundation from Nars. This was sent to me complimentary. This video is not sponsored. Nars has no idea that I'm even creating today's video, but they were very generous. They sent over a gorgeous PR box with 3 shades to choose from and 3 shades of their Soft Matte Concealer, which just got a shade extension. I started to receive PR from Nars when I made Sephora Squad, and of course I'm sure they hope that everybody they send packages to at least mentions their products across their social channels. But I truly would not spend this much time talking about this foundation if I didn't really think it is worth your while, and I do. So let me go ahead and give you the 411. The Soft Matte Complete Foundation from Nars retails for just $40, but instead of the standard 1 fluid ounce, you get 1.5 fluid ounces of product. 150% of what you would normally get at a $40 price point. I think that's really incredible. It's available in 34 different shades. It's already available on the Sephora website. It is a full coverage foundation with a natural finish. It's a soft matte, so it's not a dry, powdery matte, but it's not going to be dewy or luminous. It provides 16-hour wear. It's designed to be transfer and mask resistant. It contains hyaluronic acid, which I love, and the detail I find to be the most interesting is that it was created to resist oxidation throughout the day, so it's not going to change colors. You're not going to see a dramatic shift. I have the shade Medium 2.5 Sahel. This is the shade that I'm wearing today. Now in this beautiful box they sent over, there are 2 additional shades of foundation. In case you are close to my skin tone, I want to swatch them all for you guys. The first shade is Medium 1.5 Valaris. Here we have Medium 2 Santa Fe. And this is the Medium 2.5, the shade I am currently wearing, Sahel. This is the perfect match for me when I've sunless tanned. Medium 1.5, Medium 2, Medium 2.5. It looks like Medium 1.5 is a little bit darker than the Medium 2, but I think that's because it has a rosier undertone. I was part of a Zoom training with Nars yesterday afternoon to announce the launch of this foundation, which is part of the reason why I wanted to wait to film today's review. And a tip I picked up from the lead makeup artist who was running the training was that the shades are nearly perfectly universal. So let's say you use the Nars Radiant Foundation and you're a Medium 2.5, you should be a perfect match for this Soft Matte Medium 2.5. But if you are in between shades, the new Soft Matte Complete Foundation runs about a quarter shade darker. So if you're between 2, go to the lighter shade. Now before I show you today's application, and I'm also sharing a couple other new products from Nars, I want to quickly address my first impression, which I did film, or attempt to film. I realized after the fact that my audio was not working, but I made a few quick discoveries about this foundation. The first thing I noticed is that it is very thin, and I didn't read anywhere on the packaging and any of the press materials that you have to shake the bottle, but I would highly recommend giving it a good shake. And it makes sense because it's plastic. It's not in a traditional glass bottle like the other Nars foundation. So just go ahead and give it a nice shake. Otherwise, it's going to be way too watery. The second thing is you will immediately recognize how full coverage it is. It goes on and it covers everything. You are not going to be able to see your skin shining through. This was the complete makeup look for my photo shoot down at the beach, and I did not use a primer the first time around. I wanted to feel the foundation on my skin, but it lasted, it worked. It was so hot and humid, and even being outside exposed to the elements, having sand blown in my face, I even got rained on actually later in the day. It was fine, it held up really nicely. On the subject of primers, because that was something that was brought up yesterday during the training, the makeup artist mentioned that you could use a primer, but you didn't have to, and I think that is true. The first time I used the foundation, no primer, no problem. But if you need to prep the skin, or if you have any sort of complaint or issue that you need to address, then you use the appropriate primer for you. For me, the foundation is at peak performance with a hydrating primer. I like my skin to look hydrated. Even if it's a matte foundation, that's fine, but my skin can't look too flat. It can't look too dusty or dry. That bothers me. And I don't necessarily need a ton of radiance, although you could always mix in a liquid illuminator if you do like to have a little glow. So I really love it with the liquid glass from Farsali. You don't have to use this. You could use any other hydrating primer. But I will say if you prep the skin, it makes such a difference. It's going to be incredibly long wearing, so The makeup artist mentioned that if you use a primer to extend the life of your foundation, then you could probably skip. But if you are incredibly dry or you're incredibly acne prone, if you have some sort of other skin concern where you might need to prime with a specific primer, go ahead and use your primer of choice and then go in with the foundation. I like to give the bottle a nice shake first, and I'm applying this today with my Marc Jacobs Face 2 brush. In the training yesterday, the makeup artist mentioned that you could basically use any tool. So if you like a sponge, use a sponge. If you prefer a brush, use a brush. I actually think it would probably look really nice with a beauty blender, so I'm very interested. I will probably try that next. Historically, the recommended application technique for Nars foundation has been fingers. So use your fingers if you want to. You certainly don't have to. That comes from Francois Nars, the makeup artist who founded the brand. He always used his fingers, so it's ingrained in the brand now. I think she mentioned on the call yesterday he did 20 back-to-back Vogue covers. Pretty impressive, so who am I to go against what he recommends, but I'm just used to using a brush. It's pretty incredible. You don't need very much product. It gives you so much coverage. It's not too matte. It does dry down pretty quickly, so I like to work in sections, but I try to blend it as far as it can possibly go before it dries down. Today I also want to show you the new Climax Extreme Mascara. They sent these over as well, so I figure I might as well incorporate it into one video for you guys. So I'm going to apply the Climax Extreme on my right eye and the original Climax to my left eye. That way you can see the difference. The original Climax has a very slight hourglass shape. It's a little bit bigger than the Climax Extreme, and the Climax Extreme seems to be a little bit more tapered as well. This is the original Climax. This is the Climax Extreme. I can see a big difference, and I notice a difference when I'm applying the mascara. I don't know if I got an old one. This is only the second time I've used this Climax mascara, but it feels kind of dry. And I only did one coat on each side to try to maintain some level of consistency, but I feel like I would need to go back and add a second coat to get it where I would really want it to be. It just doesn't seem to want to stick to the lashes. Like, I apply it, but it doesn't adhere. Whereas the Climax Extreme is the complete opposite. This is almost too goopy, too thick. It applies so much product to the lashes that it can be a bit overwhelming. I find that I have to wipe off excess product from the wand back in the tube. This is only one coat as well. They're both really good. I prefer the Extreme. Definitely. No questions. So if you like the original, you might really love the new one. This is the finished makeup look for the day. Between the two mascaras, my favorite is the Climax Extreme. I really love this eyeshadow palette, the Extreme Effects. So many pretty shadows in here. They blend better than most eyeshadows I've used. I think most eyeshadows in my collection, just really pretty. This palette screams fall to me. It makes me want to go to Starbucks and get pumpkin spice whatever. It's very beautiful. I love the palette. That's limited edition. And back to the foundation. Overall, I have to tell you guys, I love it. I love it for the price and what it is and what it does and the ingredients inside. I don't think you can beat it. 1.5 fluid ounces for $40. That in itself is pretty darn good. A few comparisons, if I may. If you really like the Ultra Le Tint from Chanel, this is kind of comparable in terms of coverage, overall finish. I think they're pretty similar. The Ultra Le Tint is pretty thick. It's more of a true cream foundation, even though it's in the pump. This goes on very thin, so it feels really lightweight, closer to the Ultra Le Tint Velvet. Except the Velvet might not have quite as much coverage, and it might be a little bit more matte. They're probably pretty close, but I would say this one has more coverage. It is just bam. Full coverage, very long wearing. In that way, it's kind of close to the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless. That was the foundation I was using for photo shoots. Anytime I take pictures for Instagram, I like something that's very perfecting, very full coverage, cover up everything. I don't think I will use that going forward. I prefer this one because it feels a lot better on the skin. It's just so thin and lightweight. It doesn't dry down to a tacky face concrete type of foundation. I always kind of joke that Double Wear from Estee Lauder is kind of like face concrete because that is kind of that go-to full coverage long wear foundation. I actually really prefer the Nars to the Charlotte Tilbury, which is surprising because that was my go-to foundation for such a long time. But I love this, and it's an incredible value. It has hyaluronic acid, so it still has skincare. I know the Airbrush Flawless is supposed to be anti-aging. It's going to be best suited first and foremost for people who like coverage. If you're listening to me talk about this foundation and you're sort of interested, even though you don't really like full coverage, it's not for you. You have to love and appreciate coverage to really like this foundation. Because that's the #1 quality that it possesses, is that it is really full coverage. It will be best suited for events. I think this would be a great wedding day foundation, special occasions, anytime you need your foundation to last a long time, but also look really great in photos. This would be a beautiful option. There's no SPF, so you don't have to worry about any flashback. You will need to add sun protection if you're going to use this as your daily foundation. It almost blurs and smooths the skin. It's like you have a soft focus filter on your face. Now, if you have dry or mature skin, I don't think you have to throw this out right away. It could be for you. Is it going to be the best option? Maybe not. But because it is so thin, hear me out, you can prep your skin accordingly. If you have deeper lines and wrinkles, it can be really tough to pull off a matte foundation, but also a thick foundation. So I think the fact that this is so thin might work in your favor as long as you prep your skin and you are very hydrated. You use some sort of pore line filling type of primer, perhaps the Clarins. This could look really nice on you. If you had an event or something like that, or some sort of occasion where you're going to be taking a lot of pictures and maybe you want a little bit more coverage, You'd have to test it out, but I think this could work. If you have dry skin, it's not such a harsh matte. I think you could go in with a really heavy moisturizer and it would probably be fine. There's an ingredient inside that targets oil and it absorbs it to get rid of shine throughout the day. So if you have incredibly oily skin, I think you will love this foundation. I'm very happy with it. I give it a 10 out of 10 for performance, appearance, price, ingredients, everything. I think it checks all of the boxes. I would pay a lot more for this foundation. The fact that it's only $40 I think is pretty incredible. Definitely worth checking out from Sephora. And I love the shade. I love the fact that it doesn't oxidize. That has been a huge point of contention for me with Nars foundations. I've never been able to find a great shade match. So as much as I love their formulas, they've always been a little bit too yellow, a little bit too gold for me. This is different. When I look at photos, when I look in the mirror out in natural light here in the studio in the viewfinder, I don't think it looks odd. I think it is the perfect match, so I'm very happy that I can finally wear a Nars foundation. They really knocked it out of the park with this one. And that completes today's review. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you found it informative. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, questions down below. I would love to hear from you guys if you try this foundation. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned, everything on my face down in the description box for your convenience. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.